right. This is week number, I put two fingers up. This is week number 4 of being self-employed. If you guys have not caught the previous episodes, I quit my job about 4 weeks ago, and I am diving all into building Empowered by Women and being self-employed and pursuing all the things that just light me up. So for the next 6 months, I am taking you behind the scenes on all the things that I'm working on, all of the little pep talks I give myself, the mindset, the systems that I'm putting into place, the strategies that I have for you to potentially apply to your own business. That's what this podcast series is going to be all about. So if you haven't caught the past episodes, go ahead and get caught up and then come back for week 4. But I am just so excited to share what just went down. And that is because we recently expanded. Okay, so I'm really going to stick to the 30-minute mark this time because I have a call at 11 and it's already 10:30 and my hair looks kind of crazy, but that's okay. My hair always looks crazy. If you're following me, it's cool. I am such a proponent of just showing up as you are because it's your message that matters. It's the way that you show up in the world, not like physically, but like, what are you coming to do? What is your purpose? Who are you serving and how are you serving them? And what kind of person are you? Are you showing up with integrity and kindness and empathy and compassion? All of that. Okay, so totally just went off on a tangent there. But I am so excited because, as I mentioned before, we expanded into Wisconsin, which is, for one, pretty random, but also pretty freaking cool. And I'll give you a little insight into how that happened because I don't think I shared that before. So I am a part of different women's communities, and I met this incredible gal from one of those communities. And just as it goes for many of my relationships, we kind of like saw a little spark of interest there between each other. And we decided to hop on a separate call outside of that community to get to know each other more. And in telling her about Empowered, oh my gosh, and telling her about Empowered by Women, she fell in love with everything that we were building. And she also knew, she shared with me that she was wanting to build community in her area. And at the time, we had not yet expanded anywhere. We were still just in the Bay Area, but the thought was already there of me wanting to expand our in-person community. I just wasn't sure what that was going to look like yet. So when I was having this conversation with her and she was telling me, I'm wanting to bring community out here, I'm not wanting to build it myself, I really want to be a part of something that's already established. And I'm like, it was just like, okay, well, if you're in, I'm in, like, let's make this happen together. We will figure it out. I haven't expanded anywhere else yet, but we're going to figure it out together. And it kind of was a very long process from us having that conversation to it actually happening. It was probably at least 6 months ago that we started having the conversation, maybe even a year. I don't even know. And so in between that time, we had brought on a different community director and expanded into Los Angeles. But then we finally reconnected and said, okay, let's make this happen. So we expanded into Wisconsin. We announced it maybe sometime last month on our socials and our newsletters. We actually brought on 2 community directors in that area, Haley Thomas and Kate Spitz, and they are 2 really incredible women that believe in the Empowered by Women mission and message and are so excited to just bring community together in their area. So they hosted the first Empowered by Women Wisconsin event last night. They hosted this beautiful, was it last night already? I feel like it was maybe even 2 nights ago. I think it was last night. I think time is just flying by so quickly that I feel like I can't even keep track. But it was last night and they hosted this beautiful girlhood and gathering dinner party with 25 incredible women. It was a sold out event. And last night I really am just like losing track of time so easily. It's kind of insane. Anyways, after the event, we started getting in the trickle of Wisconsin members, and I started seeing like the pictures and the story reposts, and I honestly was like just crying inside a little bit because it's happening. Like, a year ago, I had no idea what an expansion would look like and how would that even happen? Like, how could we make that work? How could I get someone else aside from me so set on everything that we're building and so passionate about what we're building that they're wanting to go out there and share it themselves? And that is a really powerful thing when you can make it happen. That is really how you compound your effort and your message, right? How you amplify the voice of your brand. And I was talking to another woman about this who hosts virtual summits that I'm going to be a part of. And one of the core topics was that very topic of how do you amplify your presence and how do you amplify your message so that more and more people can hear about it. And this is exactly what we've been doing with Empowered by Women. It hasn't just been me shouting louder and louder and louder and louder to get more people to hear. It's been me connecting with more and more and more women and getting those women to be a part of the journey and to be along for the ride, not just watching on the sidelines, not watching from afar, but actually be a part of what we're building, that they get so excited about it, that they want to keep building it, and that they want to start sharing it so that we can support even more women all together. And that has been such a beautiful thing to witness. So, I could just I could cry some more. I am just like over the moon, and I feel so blessed and lucky to have such an incredible group of women around me. But it really is about not just sharing what your message is, but bringing that energy into it so that people can get excited with you. And this is really how you can bring word of mouth into play, right? Because when you one of the best things to do is to underpromise and overdeliver. And we are, of course, like, since we're still laying down the foundation, we're still working on refining our message more and more and more. But when you can really show people like what it is that you offer and get them so excited and lit up about it, they are going to do your marketing for you. And I will tell everyone time and time again, like, you need to use that to your advantage, okay? If you're hosting events, if you have a course, if you're selling a product, whatever it is, and you start getting great feedback, leverage that. There's no reason for you to be sitting on any of that, because all those testimonials and reviews and excitement, like, that is a gold mine. And you need to hold on to that and then share it with the world so that it's not just always coming out of your own mouth. Of course, you need to be the face of your brand and like represent and share what it is that you do. But when you have so many other people also doing that for you, that really speaks to your credibility, and that gives other people that haven't been in your world yet kind of that extra nudge to start getting involved, because they see like, oh, my best friend was one of her clients and loved it, or like, oh, this person that I follow that I really admire and respect, like she purchased the program, or she's part of that community and she's raving about it, so maybe like it is a good fit for me. Like, you want other people sharing what it is that you do, and that is what's ultimately going to help lead you to your growth, right? So with all of this growth, I've talked about it multiple times, having the systems in place. And oh my gosh, is it just like a lot of work? Not only we have like a lot of things that we offer within our community, and I'm wanting to make sure that even with all the different programs and partnerships that we have in place, like, I can still communicate what it is that we offer as clearly as possible. And not just for my sake, but now for our community director's sake, right? Because I'm not the only one that's going to be sharing, well, what is it that we offer? I'm not going to be the only one that's asking or answering questions from potential members of like, well, what do I get from this community? Like, what is it about? Like, where's the ROI? Blah, blah, blah. I need so many other people to be able to speak to our organization on our behalf. And that's where the communication and the clarity really needs to come into play. Because if my community directors and ambassadors and all the people that we're going to bring into the organization are confused, then everyone else is bound to be confused. And we don't want that here, right? So I am working quite a bit on putting our systems in place. Our SOPs are getting built out more and more and more and getting more and more organized. I have we're going to be doing a monthly team meeting with our community directors so that we can all be on the same page, so I can answer any questions that they might have that, I don't know what kind of conversations they're having behind the scenes. I don't know what kind of questions they're getting. So that's going to be really our opportunity to touch base and to keep refining that clarity, right? So it's going to be happening on a monthly basis. With my assistants, I'm meeting them every single week so that they can update me on all the things that I need to be updated on, and that's so I can give them further clarity on maybe any new tasks that they have, maybe any pending tasks that they have that I'm seeing kind of where little details are being overlooked, because consistency is really going to speak to our quality in terms of like what we're offering. That's a huge thing for me. I'm a very detail-oriented person. So when I see so many things are being done differently, like that is when it leads to a lot of confusion. That's when it leads to like not the greatest perception of what we offer, because people will feel like it's messy, people will get confused, and we don't want that. So we need to make sure that our team is really on the same page. And one of my tips for anyone who's listening who does have a team is make sure that you are sharing not only like what the mission is, what are you even trying to do, but tell them the logic behind all of their tasks, right? I'm sure we've all had those jobs where it's like we feel like we're doing all of these, like we're doing the busy work and it feels like there's no point in doing that work, right? So something that's really important to me is to not only tell them what their task is and give them all the resources to accomplish those tasks, the SOPs included, but to also tell them why it's so important that we're following the SOPs and that we get it done timely. They need to understand why. Otherwise, they might just feel like, why are we even doing this? This is a waste of time. This is so stupid. But when you bring them in on the journey and what the big picture is and why all of these little details are important, that's what will keep them kind of on top of their game, right? Making sure they're doing all of the things and they're not dropping the ball, because they finally understand what happens if the ball does get dropped, right? So I'm working on building out all these automations. It's crazy because I updated the website last night because I realized there was a small piece of information that I was wanting from all of our subscribers that was not yet on the forms. So there's 3 different ways you can subscribe to our email list on our website. And I went in and updated all of the forms, and then realized that some of them were like not updated properly, and some people were like starting to have we're having a hard time getting in and filling out the forms because they were getting errors. And then I also figured out or realized there was like an old email that was going out that didn't have up-to-date information. And there's so many moving parts. So if you are kind of in that space with me where you're doing all the things and then you're updating your website, what I would say is to not just make the updates, not just write the SOPs, not just put the systems into place, but you have to stress test them also. And that is going to be huge, right? So you can feel like, okay, I've written out this really amazing program and I've built out like this platform where all the members can go in and do the things, and you think that it's really well done and organized. But if you don't actually go in yourself and try it out, or have someone else that you can trust to go in and try everything out as if they're the user, like you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what technical issues that you might have until you stress test it. For me, I was writing out our SOPs and then I was literally like, okay, let me do this action again for another person, but instead of just doing it off my memory and what I know I need to do, I'm going to literally follow the SOPs line by line by line and not defer from it in any way, and then see if I get the same result. And I had to adjust the SOPs multiple times because I realized I'd written everything out and I was like, okay, cool, perfect. And I tested it out and I was like, okay, I missed something there. I need to adjust the wording of this, or I need to add in this next step, or I like completely just thought of this other element that I didn't factor into my SOP. I know there's so many different things that I'm talking about right now, but there's just a lot of little nuances when it comes to putting your processes in place. And the key point that I'm trying to get through is that you've got to stress test it. You have to actually go through the process. If you're setting up your e-commerce website for the very first time, you have to actually go through the process of trying to purchase an item from your website, okay? I don't care if you need to actually charge something to your card. You need to try it. You need to do it so you can see exactly what your user, what your client is going through to be able to have that end product in hand. What emails are they getting? How many buttons are they having to press until they can finally say, yes, submit payment? What are all those steps look like so that you can realize what steps are missing, where it's like just too much, there's too much going on, where it can be simplified, and what email communications you're still needing. That brings up another point. I have invested in coaches before, like different kinds of coaches. And one of them was really, their focus was bringing me more leads. And they asked me, so if we could help you get 100 leads or 100 new members tomorrow, would you be ready for it? And in my head, I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Like, I have assistants. I will just like give them more hours that week and have them take care of it. And that was a very naive answer from me. Okay. Because it's not that simple, right? And in the end of the day, for Empowered by Women, yes, we want to grow. I want to have tens of thousands of women on the directory. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but that is the vision. I want people from across the US to use our directory to find their local women-owned businesses. I want to be the go-to place to find local women-owned businesses. That is my goal. But I recognized that maybe like a couple months after I had that conversation with my coach and I told her like, yeah, no problem, 100 new members, that would be great. That would be ideal. Now going through it, I'm realizing every so often when we get a few new members, I'm starting to realize all the little steps that I want to put in place that we didn't have already in place. And like I said, with the forms that we had where people subscribe to our email list, now what I'm wanting on that form is I want them to put their city and state. I want to know where they're located, right? Because if we're constantly sending out emails about events that are happening in California to all the people in Wisconsin, they'll most likely want to unsubscribe from our email list. And we don't want that to happen, right? We want them to stay connected with us. We want them to be excited about our emails. So now I want that state location so that I could segment out all the Wisconsin people so they're not getting inundated with specifically California related emails. But I wouldn't have known that back in the day, right? When I was first having that conversation with my coach. So if I were to ask you, whatever your dream number is, if you have a membership, could you accept 100 new members? Like, would you be ready for that right now? If you take clients, would you actually be ready for 100 new clients or whatever your dream number is right now? 100 clients is probably a lot depending on what it is that you offer. 20 new clients, whatever it is. If you really wanted to sell 1,000 pieces of your product tomorrow, could you actually handle that if it happened? What systems do you need to put in place so that you could deal with that, right? And it can feel very daunting, but just take it step by step and recognize that it takes time to not only actually refine your processes, but to understand where it needs refining. And that's totally okay. But it's not always about getting all of the customers and sales and members all at once. There is power and beauty in that slow growth because it is granting you that time to refine your processes so that you're not only delivering this really, really amazing offer, but you're also able to deliver really amazing service. And that is the full package that you want to be able to offer, right? You don't want the end story to be like, oh my God, I loved the product, but it was like a nightmare getting it. Like, you don't want that to be your word of mouth. You want your client, your customer to love the whole process and to love you and to really feel like they are valued throughout the entire time that they're in your world. Okay. I have like a few minutes left. So let me see if there was something else that I wanted to mention in this podcast episode. One is this balance of like masculine and feminine energy. I feel like I've very much been in my masculine lately of wanting to make sure I'm getting things done timely, having these deadlines in place, figuring out my systems, getting everything so streamlined. But I think there's so much conversation about just living in your feminine, right? Living in just your masculine. But I really think it's this beautiful dance. Dance is my preferred word over balance because dance is like sometimes you're going over here, sometimes you're going over here. Like it's not just like this rigid, like equal balance where it's okay, you've balanced it once and that's what it looks like. It's always going to keep on fluctuating, but I truly believe you need both. And as much as I want to build my life where I can sit back and relax and just like be very much my feminine, have people take care of me, not worry about a thing, just, pamper myself, I need to put these systems in place to be able to support that part of my life, right? That part that I'm envisioning for myself. So I truly do believe that you need both. And I had posted on my Instagram a few days ago, I was getting ready for this event. And the night before, I got like little to no sleep because I was in the bed with the baby who still nurses throughout the night and with my youngest daughter who had an ear infection and was waking up like every 30 minutes to an hour. And I was just exhausted that morning. And sometimes I feel guilty for not giving myself a break. But then I'm also like, but you do give yourself so many breaks and you have so many things to get done. And I feel like there's this pressure that we put on to other women and other people sometimes of, oh my gosh, you have to like keep showing up. You have to be persistent. If you're not showing up every single day, you're not dedicated to your dream, blah, blah, blah. Or if you're working every single day, you're too much into the hustle culture, right? You're burning yourself out. Like you need to take care of yourself. Again, there needs to be this like fine dance between the two worlds because it's not always black and white. And especially for moms, oh my God, it is tough. It is tough being a mom, especially a mom of multiples, especially a mom of young ones. But just being a mom in general and trying to balance having like a really successful career, it's tough because you're getting pulled in all these directions. So really just rely on your own intuition, on what your body and your heart and your soul is telling you. If you need rest, if you need a break, take that break. Go to the spa, go get your nails done, go get a massage, go spend a day with the babies and step away from your computer. But also, it's okay to know that you have deadlines to meet for work. It's okay to want to get back to work and to want to do things that support a really successful career. And you get to choose which direction you're going to lean in every single day and every single hour. It's up to you. And it's not always the easiest decision, but know that it is your decision. And at the end of the day, what you're saying about yourself is what matters, right? and the way that you're showing up for your family and how all of that is happening. Like, that's what matters. It's not this external noise of what all these other business coaches are saying or what whoever is saying. You have the power to decide what your life looks like and where you're going to be spending your time and energy. And ultimately, you know, like, what needs to be done at the end of the day, whether that's taking care of yourself or taking care of business. All right, I need to end it there because I need to get ready for my next call. But thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a beautiful first 4 weeks of building. I'm excited for all that's to come. And I feel like I'm going to have, for some reason, I feel like I'm going to have some really good news for you next week. So stay tuned and have a beautiful week.